Hi, guys. Welcome to live this evening. Off to a little bit of a wild ride. What?
All I'm seeing is the tiger.
It says you're here.
I am here, but all I see is the tiger. Something. Oh, there we go. Okay, there he is. There you are. I don't know why I was just getting the tiger. All right, I'm gonna hang up so I'm not.
Okay. So before I do anything else, we're going to do our weekly recap. We had 7 videos, 3 shorts, 3 live streams, and 3 posts. Well, you know, they actually got the live streams correct. 3.1 thousand people tuned in, and you got 12 new subscribers. Thank you, everybody. You guys watched 2 groups of whales, Whale Tales, and Organism of the Week, Giant Squid, like you do every week. There were 25 likes, 25 shares, and 5 comments. Which of these videos performed best on search? Sumatran rhino toy review, how to set up a tank for a tarantula, or filter feeding sharks? It was actually how to set up a tank for a tarantula. I'm surprised. I know. The other channel, ooh. 1 video and 3 shorts last week. I apologize for that one. 648 people tuned in. We got 4 new subscribers. They watched Bowhead Whale Toy Review, Fire Salamander Facts, and Silverback Gorilla Toy Review. There were 6 likes and 5 shares. What was your most viewed video last week? Fire Salamander Facts, Silverback Gorilla Toy Review, or Bowhead Whale Toy Review? I'm pretty sure I know which one it is. Again, that's Fire Salamander Facts, Silverback Gorilla Facts, or I'm sorry, Silverback Gorilla Toy Review, or Bowhead Whale Toy Review. And my phone is on 15%. No, this time around it was the Bowhead Whale Toy Review. Just so you're all aware, the hi. Just so you know, we are at the second channel is up to 28 subscribers, and the other channel is at 403 subscribers. So both have gone up, which is awesome. Okay, so typically I would be going live also on Instagram, but with my phone being so short, that is not happening. So hi, MTV Brat. How are you? Tonight we are talking about cloning extinct animals, but we're going to not discuss the science behind it. Rather, we are going to be discussing the ethics behind it. So first off, there's a lot of things to consider. And the animal that we're basically going to be focusing on is the mammoth, but we're also going to be sort of blending that a little bit and taking what we know and talking about the possible cloning of the Tasmanian tiger or the thylacine. So we all know what a mammoth is. They've been extinct for a long time. So in order to basically give you a little bit of an idea of how that might work, besides all of the genetics, which is not my real strong point, which is why we're doing the ethics and not the actual other end of it. But they would take the nucleus from a cell from the mammoth, take out the my brain is going, guys, I'm tired. The nucleus of the egg from a Asian elephant, put the nucleus from the mammoth into the egg of the Asian elephant. They would grow that embryo basically in a test tube, petri dish, whatever, and then they would, once it reaches the embryo, they would then implant that into an African elephant. And I think the reason they would do the African elephant instead of the Asian elephant is the African elephant is a bigger animal. And of course the resulting hopeful calf of the mammoth would be a little bit bigger baby than maybe the Asian elephant surrogate could handle. So but it begs the question, what impact would bringing the mammoth into the modern day result in? Well, my first thought immediately is we don't know what type of bacteria are necessarily in the stomach, though, since we do have such well preserved mammoths, we might be able to go in and take a look at that and figure out what exactly is in the gut. Some of those bacteria potentially might still be there. So that might be something cool that might come out of that. But apart from that, the environments that these animals live in or lived in have changed.
What are you giving me?
We no longer have great big huge areas of potential woolly mammoth habitat. We have the taiga, which is basically an extensive amount of pine forest.
Yeah, these are.
And we have the tundra, which is basically no trees or dwarf trees, as well as lots of little plants.
Okay.
So the animals, we also have the permafrost to take into account. Mammoths are not small animals. They could do some serious damage to the ecosystem. So is it fair to the animal to bring it back into a world that isn't necessarily prepared for it to be here. There is some question as to how much of an impact. It's not. Now, you might be able to artificially create a suitable habitat, meaning a zoo. But again, it's a little bit too much like Jurassic Park to me.
Carol is not going tomorrow.
Who?
Carol.
Oh, yeah, I know. Carol,
I don't know why.
The
That's an initiatory.
At the other end of the spectrum, we have the thylacine.
That's an initiatory.
The thylacine basically went extinct sometime in the
it said
Early,
30 degrees outside.
uh,
in the bag with the pizzas.
1900s.
What?
It said it was 30 degrees outside, and I put
So,
the pizzas between the
Let's check
storm
the
door and the back
actual.
door. I need to put them in the freezer.
Let's check the actual date.
And then I guess I'm ready to shave you.
All right. Let me get these put in here.
Yeah, I need to put pizzas
I
in.
got a ton of initiatories here.
It's not. But
There's some
here's
little
my thing:
Carolines that need an
is it a
initiatory.
wild animal?
Male.
You know what I'm going to do to them? We'll release them to the temple.
What was I looking at? Oh yeah,
That's an initiatory. That's an initiatory.
it's also hard to know exactly how much of a role humans played in the death and the extinction of the mammoth. So the last thylacine died on August 7th, 1936. So compared with the mammoth, this is a much more recent extinction. The habitat is still there for the thylacine, and it still has its prey items there. So bringing it back doesn't pose a risk to the environment. In my eyes, okay, so a thylacine is a marsupial. It fills the same ecological niche that a wolf might play. It would be an apex predator. This animal would have lived in Tasmania. Don't believe they made it to Australia, but they are a marsupial. I don't know how to put pictures to my screen. So I will do my best to show you. There. So this is images. Yeah. Oh, you can't see that, but that's what it looked like. I don't know if you can see that. It is not a cat. Like I said, it is a marsupial. So between the two, you have a very different sort of dynamic. Sort of, yes, but not a dog. And they probably filled the same niche that the dingo even fills. Unfortunately, they didn't have a huge population or enough of a population necessarily to when I should say when Europeans arrived in Tasmania, they brought their sheep to the island, and they saw the Tasmanian tiger or the thylacine as a problem. And so, like we've done with the wolf here in the United States, it was killed off. And so they managed to protect it and to give it protection, but the protection came too late because the last one died, like I said. And we don't know. There's speculation. There have been supposed sightings, but nothing concrete. So my thing is, if you could take the animal and place it into an environment that is similar to what it had, but not quite, you might be able to make it work. I agree with Carol. I don't think it's necessarily fair to bring a mammoth into the modern day. I thought it was just Tasmania. Okay, yes, I'm sorry. It was native to the Australian mainland, the islands of Tasmania, and New Guinea. But at the time that Europeans were arriving, the last shooting of a wild thylacine in Australia was in the 1930s. And it wasn't too long after that the last one was killed in Tasmania. There's actually, I believe, an episode, one of the I wanted to say Shining, but that's not right. The Howling, is that the name of the werewolf movies that came out? I believe they actually did a thing where the werewolves were not werewolves, but they were thylacine. It is, but it's an island. That makes no sense because Australia is an island. But yeah, it's a separate island. So I don't know. I guess I wanted your opinions on that. Yeah. Guys, I've been babysitting all day and had a really busy week last week and did not get a chance to really research out all the fine nitty-gritty details, which is why It is. Unfortunately, though, it's an issue that is a extreme possibility. We could see mammoths in our lifetime. We have brought back other extinct animals. However, they've been more like the thylacine, where it's a recent extinction versus thousands of years. You know, in Jurassic Park, I remember years ago hearing a discussion about one of the mistakes they made. They used a frog to replace the lost DNA. That was a mistake. They should have used maybe cassowary or ostrich, a bird DNA, basically. But they didn't. Of course, bringing back a dinosaur, a little bit different than bringing back even a mammoth. Yeah, it would. I love nature, and it would be really cool to see a live mammoth. But how many mammoths do you create? Yes. How much food? Let's look at a sorry. So an African elephant eats somewhere around 330 to 375 pounds of vegetation a day. So that if the mammoth is as big as a African elephant, they probably consumed the same amount of food. Perhaps, we don't know. But we know that the muskox, yeah, exactly. Not to mention, so we bring it back. Do we release the megalodon into the wild? Or do we house it in a very large aquarium? I think it's one thing to bring back an animal that man killed off, like the great auk or the thylacine, any number of animals. It's another thing to bring back an animal that died off millions of years ago, or even 10,000 years ago. Megalodon, based on what we know, was a whale eater, and our whales, some of them are still I gotta be careful how I say this, because some of them are doing better, But in some cases, the numbers are still not to what they were pre whaling. I don't even know if the oceans, based on warmth, if they could sustain a megalodon. I know people think that they might be alive, but I don't think so. I read a little bit from one of the companies, and in doing this, we would be furthering our own sciences, our own knowledge. I mean, I would love to see a mammoth. I'd love to see a woolly rhino. I mean, if all we have are basically, oh, sorry, basically artist conceptions of what the animal might have looked like with its fur and stuff on it. Yeah, I'd love to see one, but I don't know. Humans, MTV Brat or MTVB Rat, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. I have totally different subject, but it fits. If we ever proved that Nessie or Bigfoot were real, first thing we would do would be to capture one and study it. It would be in a zoo. Depending upon how many were out there, it would be hunted. And I think, how? Why? Humans are curious about everything, and we would want to know everything about them, how they manage to survive, what they're eating, all of this stuff. The poor animal would probably go extinct under our noses if we ever found them to be real. And I'm not saying that they are, but yeah, I think you said it best when you said an intelligence far beyond our comprehension, and we would be better to leave well alone. I agree. I don't think we need to. There was a scientist talking about Jurassic Park, and he said, and this was way back when the first movie basically first came out, he said the only thing keeping us from bringing a dinosaur back to life was the ethics behind it. And that was at least 10, 20 years ago, however long it's been. So, yeah, I think better to not bring something back because you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, pretty scary to think about that. Could you imagine in real life, could you imagine a mammoth charging through Anchorage, Alaska? You know what? No, it's not off topic. Not at all. When I was in college back in my 20s, so it's been a few years because I'm now 52. The professor that I had at the time, I had to have a class. I had to have a philosophy class credit. So I took vegetarian philosophy just because it sounded like an easy class. And The professor said that if you think that we are not cloning humans under the radar, you are badly mistaken. Again, without a proper, you would have to have the right set. And what I mean by that is it would be very much like cloning a dinosaur, only you would need a human. So like Neanderthal is a separate species from us. You might be able to get away with using our genes because there are still people alive today who carry the DNA of Neanderthal. But again, the question is, what caused Neanderthal to go extinct? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did I say something wrong? Did I say something wrong? I hope not. But yeah, I would hope that, you know, I don't have proof that we're cloning humans. But on the other hand, we're doing things that 20 years ago, or when I was in college, they're now doing things medically that we had no idea. Like stem cell, growing organs from pigs to be able to transplant. So the bad thing about cloning, and we found this out when we cloned the sheep. If your source material is an adult, yeah. So if you clone an animal who's an adult, the resulting embryo, even though it's a baby, the cells would be the same age as your source organism. So if I went in and cloned somebody who is 96, how much of a life is that clone going to have before its cells give out? They cloned an ibex. I'm not sure exactly when the clone was done, but they cloned an ibex that had gone extinct. Only to have the baby die from a lung defect. And I thought that was really interesting because that brings up the question of, okay, so you're going to bring a clone into the world, but how do you know that that clone doesn't have a defect? So maybe you want to start cloning, maybe you want to clone, I don't know, Michael Jordan. But if Michael Jordan has a defect, which he probably doesn't, I'm just using him as an example. Or maybe you want to clone Michael Jackson. Not that I'm a really big fan, but you might want to. Any defect that they have in their genes is going to be passed. I was talking with the Carol that was in earlier. and we were discussing Queen Elizabeth, who I believe was in her 90s when she died. So I take a nucleus from one of her cells, right? And then I take an egg, a human egg, and I remove that cell's nucleus, and I put the Queen Elizabeth nucleus inside of the egg cell. And then I begin the process of getting an embryo. She's 96 or whatever age. The organism that comes about is the same age, and that's what happened in the sheep. One of the sheep, it didn't work because the source material was older. So you have to take that into account too. And that is where the mammoths may be a thing, because we have enough well preserved baby mammoths that potentially you could have good source material. Whereas some of the other animals, you may not. Like the thylacine, you have to be able to come up with DNA. Excuse me. So it does bear the question, are we going to end up like the clones in Star Wars, where we're using them for some type of duty that people don't want to do? Are we going to see more in the line of organs being developed, so that we have organ transplant material? Are we going to bring back animals that died out through natural means, as in climate change, which was a thing? Or are we going to bring back animals that died out because of humans? I don't know. I don't know where the line is drawn. I don't know. I would like to know. I don't know when they expect to have a live mammoth. So in 2027 is when they expect to have a mammoth. And it is now 2024, so in 3 years. And it looks like the work started in 2021. Yeah. The company secured an additional $60 million to continue the work. But what amazes me is the next project is the dodo. No, see, now I have something different here. I have 2028 for the mammoths. So, one article is from November 21st, 2023, and the other one is from January 30th, 2023. So, anywhere from 3 to 4 years, which is crazy because I will be here to see that. Hopefully. I just think that's crazy. Oh, if I could clone any animal, what would it and have it work? Oh, sorry. Hold on. The first article I used the search. I searched for when will we see a cloned mammoth. That was my search thing. The first article is from popularmechanics.com. And that was a January 30th, 2023. And then the other one is the Fort Worth Star on their Fort Worth Star Telegram. So, if I could clone any animal, which one would I choose? You know, there's a lot of really good candidates, but I think I'd like to see thylacine, the dodo, the stellar sea cow, something that has a bit closer extinction date. I would think that we could still have working ecosystems for those animals, because we were discussing, Christopher, how do you bring back a mammoth into the modern day, or going as far as to saying, how do you bring back a velociraptor? Or as MTV Brat said, how do you bring back maybe a megalodon? I mean, it's not the same era. It's not the same Earth. I mean, yes, it's the same Earth, but what I mean is it's not the same environment. Environments have changed. Ocean waters have got warmer or colder. Yeah. MTB Brett, did I answer your question on where are you getting the articles from? What I want to know is why they chose the mammoth and not something else. I don't think our modern day tundra is going to support a mammoth unless it's a one and done deal. Do I have a favorite mushroom? I'm odd. I'm not allergic to mushrooms, but I don't like the texture. So, I don't know. But as far as wild mushrooms, and one that I think is kind of cool, that would be the fly agaric mushroom. It when I was going through and coming up with topics, because I have to do that. nobody else can go in and pick the topics for me. So I have a list of topics. And this was one of the things that I thought this would be a cool topic to at least discuss. And then I got asked to babysit my nephew. You know, mixed reports on that. I'm going to go with no on that. But you can do your research on that one, because what I've read is that it's not pleasant. It's not the type of thing that one would want to eat. It might be one of those mushrooms where if you cook it, it might be edible, but I don't want to go on the record as saying that it is edible. Just because if somebody goes out there and eats it and I said it's edible, then them being sick or injured is on me, and I don't want that. That would be bad. They are hallucinogenic. They do cause some physical symptoms if eaten. There are a lot of actual like myths type things. There's some correlations between it and Santa's suit, as well as some other things that just add up. That are really kind of cool if you look into it. So yeah, cloning of animals, not really a fan, unless, like I said, you're going to bring back a rather recent extinction. That's my take on it, for better or for worse. One, there's a lot of things that I'm self-taught, but I also have basically a biology degree. So I'm short 2 classes, organic chemistry and a math course. So I actually have a biology degree under my hat, or not a biology degree. I have a class in ecology, a class in ornithology, a class in marine invertebrate zoology, a class in marine vertebrate zoology, ecology, botany, microbiology. Plus, I am self-taught in a lot of other areas. So, yep. So my knowledge is a little bit mixed because of that. When it comes to my working knowledge, to call me a biologist is probably a far cry. I like to think of myself more as a naturalist, where it's more clumped. I have been able to go out into the field, and I knew what I was looking for ahead of time. If you know what I wanted to say pitcher plant, but it's not pitcher plant. Jack in the Pulpit is. There is a park in Hobart called the Deep River County Park, and it's one of the few places that I know, and I'm sure it grows in other places, but it's the one place in our area that I know where it grows. And so I went there 2 years ago to track it down. Was there a half hour, found it got my pictures, and left. So, yeah, I've been able to go out into the field and go fossil hunting and know what I'm enough to know what I'm looking at. Okay, so you sort of have to get me on in the area. So there is I think it's a state park in Illinois called Starved Rock. It is amazing. Um there's another park in sort of southern Indiana. It's sort of close to Indianapolis, Turkey Run or Turkey Creek. But as far as this area goes, this immediate area, I love the Indiana State Park, but I also really love the national park. But Starved Rock actually has waterfalls, as well as, I believe, Turkey Run. I can't remember which one it is. I like, because it's close to us, I like the Indiana Dunes, but I also really like I said, the Turkey. I think yeah, it's Turkey Run State Park. They have trees that are humongous. It is Turkey Run. I mean, trees that are just huge. Not like the trees we have up here. And you'll find different plants because you're a little bit further south. Um some cool things about this area, the national park actually has bogs in it. With carnivorous plants. There are cactus that grows both in the state park and in the national park. But there's so much plant diversity between the two parks that it's really cool. So if you're into botany, if you're into ethnobotany, lots of things to see. And if you can get out during the springtime when the plants are coming out, it's amazing. That's why I really would yeah. There are things that I love that most people would be like, "Huh?" Hey Carol, welcome back. I love my hobbies. I would not trade them for the world. Um but there are times when I question how it helps other people, but that's okay. I've been like this since I was a little kid, so animals and nature is sort of my thing. Fun fact, when I was young, my family went out. Well, I think I've talked about this in my talks. My mom grew up in Utah. And so every year, at least once, we would get in the car and we would drive out to Salt Lake. Basically every summer except for one that I remember. Um, thank you, thank you. We I have seen pronghorn antelope, which is the only member of its group alive today. Um, they're basically a living fossil in that regards. If by the way, if you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe because that way you'll know when I go live. I forgot to plug that. But it was amazing to go from our environment or our area into the Great Plains and then into the mountains and then into the Great Salt Lake Valley and then to see the Great Salt Lake. And even got the chance to go up into Yellowstone. But anyway, I'm whoa, sorry. That's a different story. But when I was little, yes, click on that bell too. Forgot that. When I was little, there is a park in Utah. I'm sorry, but I don't remember the name of it. You know what? I'm gonna call my own house. How does that sound? Is that crazy? I'm gonna call my house. So yes, the phone is gonna ring. Ignore it. Ignore the ringing. It'll be over soon. Maybe. Because I don't remember. Hi, Mom. Hey, what is... No, it's not Zion. What is the name of that state park that Grandpa took us to? The one... The sand dune? Do you remember?
Offhand, I don't.
Okay. That's all I needed.
All right.
Sorry. Bye-bye. Okay, so I don't remember, but if you can imagine being little 6 or 7-year-old me, being in Salt Lake City, or not Salt Lake City, but in Utah, and no, 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 no. This is basically sand dune and sagebrush. That was the environment that you're in. So at the time, I really assumed rattlesnake. I was convinced. No, no, nope, not Snow Canyon. It was basically sand dune and sagebrush, and that was it. I would not get out of the car. I don't know. We were on the edge of a state park. I can't tell you, Carol. I don't remember, and neither does Mom. But yeah, we were there, and no, not southern Utah. It had to be fairly close to Salt Lake. hold on. I'm going to mute myself real quick. I did not grow up in Salt Lake. I grew up here in Lake Station. Oops. I grew up here in Indiana. My mom grew up in Logan. And also Dugway. So, yep. I'm going to put myself on mute real quick because I want to call my sister. So, hold on. Oh, and if you do ask a question, I will type it in. So, yep. Well, that did me no good because she doesn't know either. So, it is what it is. But my grandma, they lived in Rose Park, which is a subdivision sort of or a suburb of Salt Lake. I'm not sure exactly how it fits in. But yeah, lots of opportunities to see different areas of the country. A fun fact, I hold on. I got a text. Um I really miss Utah. I have not been to Utah in a very long time. I miss being out west. There is just something different about the environments there, the animals, the plants, everything is different and I love it. Scott Matheson, who was that? Carol? Yeah. Carol, I don't know about it being cleaner. I really don't. Maybe when I was a kid it was. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm like, I had no clue. I don't remember. I don't know. No, I don't think so. But Carol, I'm not gonna remember. I was at the oldest. I was 6. I just really don't remember. What I can tell you is that they convinced me that they were not rattlesnakes, and I got out of the car and was jumping off of the dunes with everybody else and having an amazing time. So sometimes the knowledge works really, really well for me, and other times it just does not. Yeah, I don't right now. I couldn't fly even if I wanted to. I can't afford the trip. Plus, I would probably take the train over a flight just because I've always wanted to just sort of go cross country on a train. I'm one of those people. Yeah. I have been on a small engine plane. The furthest I've been on a train was to Tennessee, and it was an overnight type of thing. Yeah, we um I have a really interesting story about seeing snakes. My niece, who is now well into her 20s, if she's no, she's probably in her 30s now. She was younger and she went out west with us. She's playing with some kids at a rest area just, I think it's just inside of Wyoming. Um, and they're up on a hill, and all of a sudden the other kids start screaming, "Snake, snake, snake." You would think I would have gone up to see what the snake was. No, I didn't, but I'm flipping through a book that my grandma gave me, and they said it was a prairie rattlesnake. Fun fact, there are animals that have eluded me pretty much my entire life. Bald eagles and rattlesnakes. I've never seen one. I've never seen a cottonmouth, a copperhead, coral snake. Of course, I've never been to Florida, but um, I mean, I've never seen them like in the wild. I'd like to. My favorite food, that depends on the day. Um, one of my favorite dishes that I like to get when I'm out at a certain restaurant is their curry chicken. My family my family thinks I'm a little bit off because I like curry, but yeah, I love their chicken curry. It is the only recipe that I will eat cauliflower from. I love it. Now I haven't had like other curries, so I don't know. I'm not a real big spice person, but I love chicken because it's pretty versatile. I also like poached fish. I have my own recipe take on it, but yeah. I also do this really decent chicken breast that I like to do. You take your chicken breast, it is skin on, so it's not really good for cholesterol, but you put butter underneath the flesh. You cut a pocket inside the chicken breast, and then you stick garlic inside those pockets. I do the pre-minced garlic and stick that in, and then cover that up. Put another little bit of butter on the skin. Throw in your potatoes, your green beans, your carrots, whatever you're going to have, your onions. Cover it up in aluminum foil. Put it in the oven. It cooks for 45 to 35 minutes. And when it's done, you have the best chicken breast ever. And it's even better the next day with barbecue sauce, like a pulled pork sandwich. Really good. MTV Brat, this is how my lives usually go. We have a really good discussion, and then somehow it always ends up flipping. But that's okay because it's fun. And by the way, I think this is a record. Carol, is this a record for us? I think so. My favorite fruit, I think we've discussed that, is definitely jackfruit. But if you've never had it, you need to buy one and try it. Problem is they're expensive. I'm not gonna lie. I am not gonna lie, and it's a lot of work to get into. But get it fresh. Don't buy it canned. It is so good. I also really love, yes, it is sweet. And it's some of the best tasting fruit. However, that being said, the native pawpaw is also incredible when it's ripe. If you like bananas, you would love pawpaw. Strawberries are good, but honestly, Carol, wild strawberries, you don't get a lot of them. But they're better than the strawberries that you buy from the store. Even better than the strawberries that you grow in your yard or in your garden. I think. That's my personal opinion. I also really love blueberries. My grandma raised them. And so wild raspberries, cactus fruit, if it's ripe, really good. That is prickly pear. My favorite wild food, definitely pawpaw. I have had kidney stones, so I have to be careful with what wild plants I do eat, because if a plant is really high in oxalates, it can cause me problems with kidney stones. So spinach I have to be careful with. Wood sorrels I have to be careful with. Yeah, those are the ones I can name offhand. I'm sure there's others, but guys, we are an hour and 14 minutes into this live. That is a record. If you have any other questions or comments, share them, because in a few minutes I am going to be signing off because I am tired and I haven't even done my video for tomorrow. So I have to edit and get it set up. So, yeah. Just FYI, the video for tomorrow is going to be on the poisonous end of the fly agaric mushroom. But I will be doing a myth video on that one just because of the correlation between Christmas and the mushroom. Really bizarre. But yeah. I want to thank you guys and Carol for coming in tonight. It's always awesome to see you guys. Your questions are always welcome. Thank you for coming in. Just a couple more minutes. Thank you for the likes, the hearts. We are again sitting at you don't have to go yet. Lives, upcoming lives, because I need to do that for you guys too. I go live every Tuesday at 7 a.m. I also go live every Friday at 7 p.m. Wait, let me restart. Tuesdays at 7 p.m., Fridays at 7 p.m., and Saturday night at 7 p.m. Upcoming lives because, I haven't put them in yet. Carol, I may need your help to remember my lives. That's horrible. Yes, those are all Central Standard Time too. Thank you for that help. Friday, we are doing, if my memory serves me correctly, we are talking about leaf litter and plant stems in your yard and garden. And then Saturday, how to attract wildlife into your yard. So we'll be discussing those two things. And then I have some really cool lives coming up for the next month into March. I don't have that figured out yet. But definitely be looking for those. They are going to be awesome. Also, you can go into my playlist. There is a live playlist, and you can look and see all of the lives that have been done up to now on top of that. You can also go in and look at the videos that have been posted. I'm not the best with editing, though I'm trying. But with that, I will talk to you later. Good night. Have a great week. Hopefully see you Friday. Bye-bye.